Hello, Internet. I'm Corione, your witch in residence. And today I'm going to talk about The Dark Knight. Now, a lot of channels have dissected this movie, and a lot of them admittedly have done a very, very good job. Everything from Heath Ledger's performance to why we find the Joker's performance so encapsulating of our thoughts and imaginations. And I want to talk a little bit to that because there's a kind of seductive quality to madness. And I think we need to discuss it and analyze it a little bit deeper and why we're so obsessed with Heath Ledger's Joker. Because I think I know why. But before we get to that, some people who are watching my channel are still not subscribed. And while I appreciate you all, I would ask you to please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon. That way you get mentioned or you get notices of every video. Additionally, if you could consider joining our channel membership, um, I have some of the best channel members in the world. I love to do wonderful things with them. And if you want to get in on the ground floor of this, that would be amazing. So please consider doing so. And with that obligatory ritual out of the way, let's dive into the madness of the Joker. Now, if you ask, um, you're probably asking yourself, well, what would a guy like you know about madness? And I think if you were to interview even two or three of my ex-girlfriends, you'd clearly see that at the very least I am, uniquely attracted to the idea of madness. So I think I can speak from a little bit of a piece of authority. The truth about it is, when somebody is free of the confines of society, of logic, of rationality, of sanity, there's something seductive about that level of freedom, about that I don't have to care anymore kind of attitude that permeates Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, and really every performance of the Joker in some way or another speaks to the I don't have to care about the world around me. I can focus in on what I care about, which is my sense of dark humor. And there is something deeply seductive about it. I mean, up until Harley Quinn made her appearance, if you asked a lot of the female fans of the Batman series, they found the Joker oddly attractive. And when Harley Quinn joined, I mean, there were a lot of guys that became deeply attracted to that level of madness, to that level of crazy. And I mean, we see it routinely in, we all have that friend that dates the crazy ones, right? That friend who is drawn like a moth to the flame of their craziness. Only the truth of the matter is it's them that gets burned. And I think it has a lot to do with how freeing it appears, how not caring about whether someone sees you in a certain light, or how not you don't have to worry anymore about what society says. You're free. You're liberated from the shackles of the mundane world and can simply embrace wherever your mind goes, even if that place happens to be psychopathy. And yet, if it's so seductive, if it's so alluring, why do we not just all do it? And I think the answer is that while a wild night of madness and passion sounds wonderful, we all know we have to wake up the next day, right? We all know that while the Joker's consequences are he gets beat up by Batman and maybe thrown in jail for a couple of weeks until he breaks out again, for us, the consequences would be very, very real, and it would be very hard. It would mean the loss of our liberty, the loss of any freedom. It would be the loss of friends, the loss of family, the loss of respect by your peers and people that you admire. And while the short term gains sound wonderful, the long term suffering you would experience because of those loss of those things that we cherish would just be unimaginable. Now, do I think society needs to be a little more free and open with how we deal with each other and how we deal with society as a whole? Yeah, I think so. I think we are a little uptight. But I also think that the reason why we have those taboos is for a reason, right? We were so initially concerned about queerness because at the time we were so concerned about having enough people to survive whatever calamity that the idea of somebody deciding not to procreate was dangerous to society. Now of course we're in almost the opposite problem where people choosing to procreate with reckless abandon is a problem for a lot of societies these days. So, the world has changed since those rules came in, and we need to potentially change with it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everybody needs to find a same sex partner, far from it. I think, though, that we can be accepting of people because the taboos of the old don't necessarily apply, or at least some of them don't. And that can be very freeing, but we also have to remember that in our newfound liberty, there are reasons why we have those other rules in place, right? As much as I personally don't follow and see no reason to follow Jewish dietary law, I do understand that in the context of their ancient past, it made completely logical sense. And in the context of current year, that it is a tradition that binds those people together. So I do understand the necessity for it in their culture. And, I would say that while I would not be personally okay with someone forcing those laws upon me, I am completely okay with people choosing to follow those laws. And as a good host, if someone who was following those laws were in my home, I would do my best to accommodate them in any way I possibly could. That's respect, right? So, with those pieces in mind, when we really sit down and look at Heath Ledger's Joker, we can actually see that being a method actor, being so embraced by the freedom of being able to completely reject all semblance of sanity offered Heath Ledger, he did pay the price for that. And the price was he couldn't close that door. And he suffered an absolutely horrific tragedy of the mind because of it. And I do pity him for that. And I do wish that that had not occurred to him. I wish he could have walked away from it, that he could have kept that separation of the madness he was portraying and the joy in the liberty of that madness, and kept it separate from his day-to-day life. And to be honest, I really don't know if you actually can. Seduction of power or even of freedom is an incredibly powerful thing. And it can be used to very, very good ends. I mean, I would argue that the seduction of liberty, the seduction of freedom, was very empowering to the American revolutionaries and really fueled them to gain their independence and build a new society based on those things that they learned. But they made sure it was a society of laws because while they didn't want to necessarily restrict people's freedoms, they knew that in order for people to work collectively together, laws needed to be in place that would allow people their freedoms, but only so long as those freedoms do not impinge upon others. And I think that is a wonderful idea and a way really that we should go forward as a society. Um, Now, I do think about some other pieces to that, but I do think that it is a wonderful framework to start from. And that is, I think, the ultimate lesson we can take away from the Joker is that it is okay to listen to that voice inside you that says, go wild, be free, run in the forest, howl at the moon, go do silly, crazy things that others may object to because you need it, so long as we remember to put a leash on it enough to say, but only so long as we don't hurt others, right? I have no problem with people deciding to go and have incredibly wild parties where they carouse and dance and entertain themselves in all sorts of ways, so long as that party stays an exuberant and joyful atmosphere, so long as it doesn't turn into hurting people for no reason. Which I think if you ask any good person, they will say the same thing, whether they are a person of faith or otherwise. Because at the end of the day, we all do have morals, and they're all based on a code that starts with try not to harm others. And even when the the joy of madness tells us to go and do, and who cares if you do this, that, or the other thing, because it won't matter. It does matter. It matters to us. It matters to your friends. It matters to your family. We are totally fine with you going to the cliff. We're not okay with you walking off. So enjoy flirting with the crazy. Do things that others might say, hey, that's pretty crazy to go and do that. It's, pretty much insane to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. And it is, unless you have a parachute, right? It's totally okay to be the kind of reasonable looking, middle of the road looking guy and go up to the most beautiful woman in the room and ask her out. So long as you understand that if she rejects you, that's okay because you put in the effort. The same goes with girls, of course. Girls reach for that, 10 guy who's got a six-figure income and has a heart of gold and takes care of fluffy little animals. But if he rejects you, understand that it's okay for that. That your life's value isn't tied to that. That they don't need to follow you into madness. Instead, you can enjoy that you tried. And that, in a way, even if they don't agree to date you, you succeeded in the task of putting yourself out there. You can be okay with these things. And you can be okay with letting out a little bit of your crazy, letting your freak flag fly just a little. Because when we're out on that edge, we learn a lot about ourselves. And so long as you have the willpower to stop and say, okay, I've done my silliness, I've done my piece beyond the edge, but now it's time to come back to reality. I can go do the silly thing so long as I'm there for my job, and I can perform the duties that are expected of me. So, for homework tonight, I'm going to say do a thing that that scares you a little to do, but would be something that you would enjoy immensely, provided it doesn't hurt others. And then report back and tell us the crazy thing you did. Leave it in the comments. Let's see what we're all up to. For me, I'm going to be taking a trip really soon. And I can't wait to tell you guys more about it and everything I can about it, because I think you guys are going to find this amazing. And when I do, I'm it's going to be crazy, it's going to be wild, it's going to be insane for the time I'm doing it. But when it's done, I get to come home and continue the real work. And I look forward to all of that adventure. With that in mind, everybody, thank you so much for today. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.